Ever feel like your AI assistant has a mind of its own? One minute it's an absolute genius, and the next, it's completely forgotten everything you just told it? Well, today we're diving into a suite of tools from Scriptorium Lab Services that's designed to fix exactly that. The goal here isn't just to make AI more powerful, but to make it way more reliable. I mean, we've all been there, right? You ask an AI for something and you get a pretty good result. You ask it the very same thing 5 minutes later, and you get something totally different. It honestly feels less like you're using a professional tool and more like you're managing a super creative but really unpredictable intern. And that's really the heart of what we're talking about today. It's this big shift from playing with these general purpose, sometimes kind of random AI toys, to using specialized, professional-grade tools that are actually built for consistency and control. So this is the philosophy that Scriptorium Lab Services is running with. They're looking at this huge paradox in modern AI. How can something be so incredibly powerful yet so inconsistent? Their answer is to build tools from the ground up where structure and human control are at the very core of everything. So let's see how that actually plays out in their first tool. Okay, first up, we're tackling a problem that anyone who's ever worked in technical writing or marketing or compliance knows all too well. It's the absolute chaos of trying to keep professional documents consistent and high quality. Manual reviews are just a massive bottleneck. They're slow, the quality can totally depend on which reviewer you get that day, and so many critical details just slip through the cracks. Are you using login on page 1 and then sign in on page 5? Did you forget to include the mandatory scope section? These little mistakes, they really add up, and they can even create some serious business risks. And their answer to this is ReviewAI, which they call a documentation intelligence platform. This thing goes way beyond a simple grammar check. It's all about systematically enforcing consistency and tackling all those headaches we just talked about. So how does it do that? Well, that's where this number comes in, 5. ReviewAI has 5 of the world's top-tier technical and editorial style guides built right in. So instead of just hoping your reviewer remembers all the rules, you just select the standard you need, and boom, the AI checks your document against those specific guidelines. I love this because it perfectly sums up their whole approach. The tool doesn't just go in and rewrite everything for you. No, it gives you a report, it flags potential issues, suggests corrections, and even explains why it's a problem. But you, the human, you make the final call on every single change. The control always stays with you. All right, let's move on to the second problem, and this one is a biggie that affects, well, pretty much anyone using AI today. The whole art and science of writing a good prompt. You know the drill. You spend all this time writing what you think is a perfect prompt, but the AI just forgets its role halfway through the response. Or you finally craft a masterpiece of a prompt, but then a week later, it's totally buried in your chat history, gone forever. Prompting can feel like a guessing game, and that leads to some really frustrating results. So, Scriptorium's solution here is the Deterministic AI Prompt Generator. Now, deterministic might sound a little technical, but all it really means is predictable and repeatable. Think of it like a recipe. If you use the same ingredients and the same steps, you're always going to get the same cake. This tool basically turns prompting from an art into a structured process. And it goes surprisingly deep. This number 14 represents the 14 different advanced prompting techniques that are built right into the tool. So instead of just, crossing your fingers and hoping for the best, you can explicitly tell the AI how to think, whether that's using chain of thought for logical steps or tree of thoughts for exploring different ideas. And this really drives the point home. The generator is built on this belief that a great AI output isn't about some kind of magic talent for writing prompts. It's about a disciplined, structured process. Same inputs, same prompt structure every single time. Okay, for our final problem, we're going to shift gears. We're stepping out of the office and into the home with a problem that I think a lot of parents and students will recognize immediately, the frustration of late-night math homework. Picture it. It's 10 o'clock at night. A student is completely stuck on a tricky math problem. Searching online might give them the final answer, but that doesn't help them learn the method for the test. They can't even type the weird math symbols to search for help properly. It's just a classic dead end that leads to frustration, not learning. And that's where MathSolver AI comes in. This is not your average answer-spitting calculator. It's designed to be a complete learning journey, and it's specifically tailored for the Indian CBSE curriculum for classes 5 through 12. And check out how it turns that frustrating dead end into a real learning moment. A student can just snap a photo of the problem in their textbook. The tool then gives them a full step-by-step solution, explains the main concept in simple terms, and, this is the magic part, it points them to the exact chapter in their textbook to revise. It closes that whole loop from I'm stuck to aha, now I get it. So we've got a documentation reviewer, a prompt engineer, and a math tutor. 3 totally different tools, right? But what's the thread that ties them all together? Well, it's this single, unifying idea, moving AI from a state of chaos to one of deliberate control. These are the core principles holding it all together. First, decisions are always governed by a human. The AI is your assistant, not your boss. Second, the tools are deterministic by design, which means you get predictable, repeatable results. Third, and this is a huge one for privacy, they're 100% client-side. Your data, your API keys, they never leave your computer. And finally, zero installation. These are powerful tools that just run right in your browser, which makes them super accessible. And that really leaves us with one last big question to think about. We spend so much of our time and energy just managing the unpredictability of AI. But what if all that energy could be spent on, actual work? What could you or your team or your students achieve if the AI tools you relied on were built not just to be powerful, but to be fundamentally, structurally reliable?